10 p.m. I'm 30 years old, sitting in the room that I grew up in, despite the fact that I got married a few months ago and I lived in Europe for 3 years, where I got 2 master's degrees in Cosmetic and Dermatological Sciences. And I'm a pharmacist who worked for a few years, but I failed and I had to move back to Nigeria. In 2021, I got a scholarship that would change my life. It was my dream. The Erasmus Mundus joint master degree was my dream. Emotion master was my dream. And on my second application, I got the fully funded scholarship, and I moved to Novara, Italy. I loved living in Novara. I loved it for the 1 year I was there. And I learned a bit of Italian. I took a semester of Italian. Then I would move on to Spain, Elche, which I also loved living in. And I would move back to Italy, where I lived for another almost 2 years, yes. So fantastic experience that I had overall. However, my grades were not what I expected. They were good, but I had already dealt with the fact that I did not have the grades that I would have loved to have in my first degree. So I carried that. I have to do this. I have to get this fantastic grades in my master's degrees to this program. But somehow, to be fair and to be honest, I don't think I put in as much effort as I could have, because I could have gotten better grades. My program was in English language, and I watched people who English was not their first degree put in the effort and put in the work and likely did better than I did. And I still did not do as well as I knew that I could have. Now, it's not that the grades could typically stop me or anything, but it was more of a personal goal. It was more of something that I really wanted to show myself that I could do. The first year, my grades were actually quite good, like really good. The third semester, I needed just 1 mark to get me to the exact place that I needed. But somehow I faltered even more in the third semester in Spain, and my grades were just not as good. And the fourth semester, which was my internship, which I got in one of my dream companies, I really wanted to work there and I loved working there. And I would have loved to stay, but unfortunately, let's just say I wasn't able to. And that would haunt me for a very long time. It would haunt me and it would make me feel less than for quite a while, because I just didn't know why that happened. I couldn't quite fathom why things did not go according to something that was already fully laid out plan. And in that same fourth semester, I had to write my thesis. And it was in writing my thesis that I just knew that I was late and I was not going to do so great, to be honest, because I started writing my thesis like when I didn't have a lot of time left. If I had done well in that thesis, if I had put in the effort that I required, I would have gotten a much better grade and a much better grade overall. And I'm at the place where I cannot even look at my diploma, because I have these degrees and I learned so much and I loved everything that I did, but I feel like I can't look at them because I knew that it wasn't the best of my efforts. I couldn't look at my degrees because I knew that I didn't give it all I could. Couldn't look at my degrees because it feels like I just failed myself again. And I would go on to graduate, meeting some of my favorite people again, my friends from my program who were just so amazing, and they taught me things about life, perspectives about life that I have never seen before, because there were people from literally all around the world. I loved my program, but because I wasn't able to do what I needed to do to fulfill the goals that I knew that I could reach if I'd only just crept in a bit further and I put in 1 more hour here and 30 minutes here, and went to the second semester of Italian classes. I had done it. I fulfilled my dream, and now I really wanted to work in my dream industry, the cosmetic industry. And I would start my job search, albeit not greatly, I have to be honest, and I would try and I would try. The first few months it was like, nothing forthcoming, but I was like, I'm going to take this risk. I got my post-study visa. I had been talking to other people who had done other programs and they had gotten jobs. Some had gotten PhDs. A lot of my classmates had gotten jobs, and I tried. I wanted to keep on keeping on, to keep being hopeful, and I tried. 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. I tried. But thankfully, somewhere in the middle of that, I had a Nigerian community, because it was something I hadn't had yet. I found a church, a live church in Milano. I'm filming. I lived in Milan for 18 months, and I saw Nigerians there who also had built a life, who were building lives, who had gotten good jobs, and I mentally tried to tap into this, and I was really hoping to get a job there. Because living in Europe is pretty expensive, and even though one thing I did do a lot greatly in was in my finances. I saved up a lot, but I also had a business. I run a skincare store called D-Skin Store in Nigeria, which I also had to put a lot of money towards. I dealt with a lot of doubt. I would have people praying for me. I would have people from church saying, just asking me periodically with no pressure, like, oh, how is it going? And at a point, I just gave up. I wasn't really applying. Now, one of the problems I had was that I was living in Italy and I didn't really know Italian. I started taking Italian classes. I did the private one initially, then I started attending a free one that was organized by a church. Now, I wasn't putting in as much effort once again, but I was scared of learning the language. I did not put in as much because of that element of like fear and also like some element of laziness and procrastination. But I was hoping to find like a multinational company like some of my friends had, that I would be able to work in English while I honed my Italian. Nothing was forthcoming. I had always had a job. Right from graduating from pharmacy school, I always had a job at every single point that I wanted it. So I did not understand how getting a job was evading me so much, despite all of my skills and all of my degrees and other things. And I started to internalize this, and I truly did feel, and to an extent still feel, like a failure. So in the last Hallelujah Challenge of 2024, Pastor Nat said this.
Yesterday I heard a word, I failed to release it. I heard the word Jagbada in Yoruba. It means to return. Maybe God is speaking to somebody to return from somewhere. It came to me, I forgot. Let me release it. Maybe that will be your confirmation.
Bear in mind, the day before, I did not attend Hallelujah Challenge. I was attending every single day, but that one night I slept off, I missed it. And I felt like it was truly a message for me. I heard it and it stood out to me. I had contemplated going back to Nigeria before. I'd been flown into Nigeria earlier in the year to come and give a talk. I had a few plans, but they fell through. Nothing was coming forth, not in Nigeria, not in Italy, not in any part of the world. But at that point, in October, November, my permesso, that's my residence permit, was expiring and I could renew it. But I also knew it was time to go home. Even though I had no plan, I still don't know what's happening, even now that I'm in Nigeria. But on the very bright side, like I said, I got married in July. My husband is in Nigeria, but he's not in Italy either. So we do need to find that meetup point. And even though we're in the process of doing that, I do not know how long that is going to take. I could be here for a year, I could be here for 3 months, I could be here for 2 years. Just because immigration is not your mate. And as 2025 rolls in, what I really want to do is to truly trust to God. I haven't really prayed. I have been very haphazard in my prayer, in my relationship with God. But it's my Jesus year. It's year 30. And even though I'm already in it already, I'm hoping that the God who can do things that would happen in 10 years, in one day, He's looking at me. As I've moved back home, things are quite tough because tell me why fuel is 1,018 naira per liter. That's affected everything. Electricity is terrible. You probably can hear some generator sounds. This was not the plan. I was supposed to work, turn 30 in a stable career. I was going to, make vlogs when I was in Italy. I was going to talk about my journey. I barely did that. But I'm going to move forward now. 2025 is my year of endless excellent execution. And great things are going to happen this year. I do not know what is going to happen. And even though deep inside, the failures still haunts me. But I'm going to choose to look at the fact that I moved to a new country. To new countries, by the way. I survived, I thrived. I met new people. I got those 2 degrees. I learned so much, school-wise, life-wise. I have so much knowledge. I have so much passion for the cosmetic industry. And I'm learning to trust God. And I believe that will be enough. So you will see me here more on YouTube. And by the end of the year, I will be making another video with another update. So pray for me. And thank you so much for watching this video, because I cannot believe you just sat here listening to me ranting. and have a wonderful, amazing, excellent 2025.